to know that this got moved from MongoDB to Cassandra DB. Okay, so in order to launch this database in production, they thought that why don't let's try to do some testing. Okay, so while doing some testing, they found one issue. So in order to understand that issue, let's first try to understand two factors of Cassandra DB. So Cassandra is an AP database. It means it trades consistency over availability. What does that mean? It means that database will be available most of the times, but you may see some latency in fetching the latest data. For example, let's say your friend commented something on your post. Okay, so you may face some latency in seeing that message, but as an overall database will be available. It will never go down. Okay, and that is what the Discord people wanted, so that's why it helped them as well. The other thing is that everything in Cassandra DB is an upsert. It means you can insert if if that particular value is not available, and if particular value is available, it will always go and update the data. Okay, so knowing these two aspects, we will try to find out that one issue they faced. So there was one issue. You can see here they are trying to do with the help of zip, trying to explain with the help of zip. Okay, so in what happens when a user is trying to edit a particular message in the group, and the other user is trying to delete the same message, so what happens at the end, it it remains only the data with whatever the with the primary key and whatever the data was being inserted with this user. Okay, so that is also an issue, right? Because the database does not contain the entire value of the row. It only contains primary key and one value. Okay, so how to solve that issue? There are two ways you can solve this. One way is to get the entire data and resurrect the entire row of this whatever you got deleted. Or the other thing is like it is eventually mark it as a corrupt and delete it. Okay, so that's how. So they went ahead with the second approach, that I will mark it as a corrupt and we will go for deletion, because resurrection of a particular row is also problematic. It can again cause conflict with some other rows as well. Okay, or some other data as well. Okay, that is the thing. And while doing this, they found out that Cassandra was very inefficient in writing the data. If you know that my Cassandra was mainly developed for higher speeds of the write. Okay, and if you know MySQL is mainly for reading the data faster. They have a very slow write. Okay, so in order to understand this issue why it was happening, let's try to understand other two features, like how the deletion happens in the Cassandra. So whenever a data is deleted in Cassandra, so it is marked as a tombstone. So if you know the meaning of tombstone, it's like a stone. It's like a stone which has some engravings on the grave. Okay, basically you can think of tombstone as a null. So it is marked as null, and it is not deleted instantly from the database, because there are two things: consistency, it is not consistent. Okay, it means highly consistent. The other thing is that the data is replicated over various nodes. So we have to simulate that every node which is where this data is replicated has to be marked as null or tombstone. Okay, then only you can delete the data. Okay, now the other thing is like the other thing is like for these guys, they have a table which contains only almost 16 columns. Okay, but on average only 4 columns are filled. Okay, 4 columns are getting filled. So most of the values are going as null in this data, in the database. And to be precise, deleting a data in Cassandra or marking it as a null, both are the same process. Both generates tomb, or you can say both generates null. So what happens most of the time, my Cassandra database is while writing it is fetching null null values. Okay, so that's why the Cassandra has it was facing an issue in that. So what they did in order to solve this issue, what they did, they only wrote the non-null data to the database. As a result, the number of tombstone was reduced, and now they have lot of space to write. And you might be thinking, like, why this tombstone was creating an issue? Because after some point of time, what happens during the compaction time? Okay, compaction time means there is a default time till lifespan for which tombstone lives, and by default it is 10 days. After that, compaction happens, and the date and the space is reclaimed where it can be written. That's why this issue was happening. So after going through this, after resolving these issues, it went ahead very fine. And it was they were the performance, whatever the performance they were expecting, they got exactly the same performance. And it went ahead smoothly, and the production went ahead very smooth, until after 6 months they started to face one issue, that Cassandra was running a 10-second stop the world garbage collector. Okay, so basically you can think of a garbage collector was running to collect the data for 10 seconds continuously. As a result, what was happening, it was being slowed down. Okay, the writes and reads, everything was getting slowed down. So they started to digging deeper, and they found out that there was one Discord server which was causing that issue. So in order to take a look, they joined that public channel, and they found out that some user, by using the Discord API, they have deleted the entire data of that channel except one message. So whenever a user is coming into that group, internally what is happening in the background, Cassandra is looking for all the messages to show to them, but most all the messages are tombstone. We are so they are generating the tombstone. Most of the times the Cassandra is moving over the tombstone. Okay, so as a result, the garbage collector has come into the picture to reduce this, to collect this deleted objects, or you can say tombstone. So in order to solve this issue, what they did, they reduced the lifespan of tombstone from 10 days to 2 days. And also they made changes in the query, that don't have to look into the empty buckets, because once you delete the data, it is only tombstone, you are going through tombstone, and you don't have to look for a bucket which only contains tombstone or null data. Okay, so that's what they did. And then it went ahead, it was very smooth after that. And then currently when this blog was written, it was a 12 node cluster with